We're here at PressConf 2025. I am with Zach Hendershot, the CEO of Miruni,
Yep.
and I'm excited to pick your brain about some of the challenges that agencies are facing with WordPress these days, maybe some of the ways that they can optimize and use their time better to take on more clients and maybe even lower costs for clients. I think that's something that the consumer could get excited about. So,
Yeah,
uh,
love to.
let's
Thanks for
just,
having me.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time to chat. Let's just dive in. I guess what what are some challenges you've noticed? You've been in the agency space for quite a while, so
Yep.
what are maybe like the top two or three challenges that agencies face the most?
It's interesting right now, and I think that's changing a lot as we speak, given sort of how the world is evolving and changing and new technologies and whatever. I would point to a couple key challenges that agencies are facing these days. One is the cost that they incur in servicing their business and their customers, right? And by extension, the the challenge is providing a world-class customer experience for those customers, right? Because when costs start to mount, you have to start thinking about, what fits on the payroll, what doesn't fit on the payroll, how you provide sort of that white glove level of service. And that's often how agencies live or die, is by the quality of service and quality of results that they deliver. And the quality of service in a lot of ways is under attack right now because it's so hard to, one, keep great people and pay them competitively. And there's lots of external pressures of, offshoring and nearshoring and all this stuff. So I think maintaining and managing costs, I think providing, really world-class customer service and experience is a challenge. And then I would also point to, in some ways, like the challenge of client communication, like keeping good, transparent, clear communication happening with your client, which kind of folds back into, providing great customer experiences, but sort of is its own interesting challenge. That's hard to deliver right now.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a debate in the WordPress space when it comes to AI, what that means for agencies. Do people even need to hire agencies anymore? Can they just use AI to generate their website?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that, especially for those maybe lower end, I'm thinking like $500 to $1,000 websites?
I have a lot of thoughts, right? And I think what's interesting about the space that we live is, one, that we can have that question, right? That's a valid question to, like, hey, can I just do it myself as a small business owner or whatever, and create a website without having to pay money to somebody else, right? And I think my response is, as much as the hype is out there that you'll see on LinkedIn and Facebook and whatever else about how it can replace large swaths of service providers and people and agencies, I think we're already starting to see that a lot of the challenge in doing that is, yes, you can get a V1, yes, you can get an MVP, but remains a huge amount of art in creating a web experience that actually solves the business problem that your business is, a small business or whatever it is, even large businesses are trying to solve with it. And so that is such a hard thing to get evolve an AI generated site to actually solve like a problem. It's a multi-dimensional challenge. And so I view AI as an augmenter of great agencies, right? Help agencies work faster and more cost effectively, and, eliminate some of the manual grunt work that exists within the agency so they can, provide better experiences. But I don't continue to see it as a replacement. There may be a future in the, long term, many years in the future, where it does sort of encapsulate a lot of the art that goes into creating a great experience. But I think what you'll find is businesses will try. They'll get websites. They'll be happy for a short period of time. And then they'll realize, man, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know how to message and position my product in the right way on the web. I don't know how to, build the right call to actions to really solve the problem. And using these tools almost every day, if not more than that, know these things and struggle to get the right quality out of the right prompts and the right tools and connecting the right things together. So I think we're going to see this chasm build where, like, I'm happy in the short term, but it doesn't solve my long-term problem of delivering a great web experience.
So that opens up an interesting question for me, which is what you started to get at was that AI maybe doesn't know how to write a strong call to action or copy or how to position a brand. In my eyes, I would think that's what AI could be better at. And maybe on the technical side, like building a page, maybe that's where it falls short. So I'm really curious, Do you think agencies is that increasingly the role that they're gonna play, is more like coming up with that copy and helping the brand message?
I think so, right? I think the tactical, chunks of like building the site, like getting the scaffolding, the infrastructure, and like connecting all the pieces together, do the integrations with, WooCommerce or whatever needs to happen to deliver the site, will be heavily automated. I think what won't be is the humans who sit there and have life experience and have perspective and have nuance, a nuanced understanding of what you're trying to do as a business owner, and can guide these network of agents of AI tools doing all sorts of the grunt work for you. And the glue will still be the human who can like connect all the dots, refine the messaging, and make sure it's hitting the mark. And so I think that looking forward in the future is I think the role we're going to continue to play. That makes the agency and the individual person running that business way more effective, way faster, way more, capable of doing a lot of work, but it still is guided by a human who is, putting together the strategy that wraps it all together and ultimately delivers the results, right, that you're looking for as somebody who's, purchasing a website or trying to build a website.
So what would be some examples of ways that agencies could leverage AI to speed up their process?
Yeah, and the list only gets larger and larger every day as new tools launch. There's a few things I point to at the moment. One is, creating scaffolding, for lack of a better term, both in code and like building the website and creating a lot of the kind of the core page structures and the page layouts and stuff like that. Kind of like the V1 of kind of the mission of what you're trying to deliver. And I'll also say from a content perspective, I use it a lot in my day-to-day to sort of structure my thoughts, right? To create outlines of content, to create, some structured ways of like, a website skeleton, right? From a information architecture perspective is the word I would use. And then I can fill in gaps and sort of in a really targeted way, fill in content, auto-generate some content, and then have, a path of tweaking and improving and optimizing. And so I think those sorts of tools are really good. Any sort of internal processes you have around automation is another really good one. I'm building a product in that space where we're automating the resolution of edit requests that agencies get from their customers over the life cycle, 2 to 3 years of, evolving and updating and rebranding the website over time. So we're trying to automate a huge chunk of that manual work that happens day to day. But I think you're going to see more and more of that in the market where, some of these frankly, low complexity and boring manual work that needs to happen is going to get more and more automated because one, agency owners and developers and designers and folks of all sorts in the WordPress space are going to be more interested in not doing the things that are not interesting and useful and uniquely valuable for them to be doing and focus more of their time on the things that they're uniquely good at, whether it's crafting and designing a great sort of, call to action on a website or designing a really great experience for the user in a design perspective or solving some unique code problem, right? Something that would be hard to sort of, create from scratch to meet the needs that you're trying to really solve. So I think that's the evolution over time. Automate the boring stuff and focus more human time on the stuff where humans add unique value.
So you briefly touched on what you're doing with Miruni. Can you share a little bit more about what that solution looks like for agencies?
Yeah, we had a capture product in market for several years. It was capturing design feedback, bugs, other things that happen on web properties. It would happen, and you would capture it directly in the context of the site. When we talked to agencies, we learned that's great. It's nice to be able to streamline the collection of feedback from clients in a variety of different ways and streamline it how it gets into your workflow, whether it's Jira or Trello or whatever you use. But what we heard is the real problem is like, I hate spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours a month just doing boring grunt work of updating content, adding a new content block, fixing a misspelling, changing the color of a button. Like the list goes on of how they were spending their time in non-optimal ways. And that's when we connected the dots that, hey, that's something we can probably, with modern tools that we have available and built on top of our capture engine that makes it really easy to get what you're wanting as a client, we can automate a big chunk of that. And that's really what we're doing is automating 80 to 90% of the edit requests that come in from clients that agencies have to service. Obviously, making their retainer agreements way more profitable. saving a ton of time, just internal operations time that can be better spent on strategy, and providing a really much better experience for the customer because they're getting fast turnaround. They're getting a really responsive set of notifications that, hey, the request you just made a couple minutes ago now is ready to, go live on the site, stuff like that. And I think that helps agencies thrive and survive in sort of this evolutionary space that we live in right now, which is like, how do I continue to provide high quality service, but do it at lower cost? That's the problem we're trying to solve at the moment.
And from a technical perspective, how does it work with different sets of themes, plugins? People have different page builder preferences.
Yep.
Is it purely based on the page builder they're using, or how do you navigate that?
Yeah, we built a system that is adaptable and flexible to a number of different page builders. But you're right. The more we know and the more we tailor sort of our AI models to the specific page builder, the more effective we are at making the changes being requested by customers. And so we just recently launched, we're focused on WordPress and Elementor within the WordPress ecosystem and the built-in Gutenberg, and starting to look at Beaver Builder and a few others, trying to target the larger install bases, but rapidly expanding. We built a system that allows us to plug in a bunch of page builders and other sort of theme types and other data systems that allow us to get better and better and better at automating more and more of the requests that come in, all the way up to, we hope to be able to create new pages and new content layouts that respect the existing design and design system and data structures that have been built around the site and is already there. So, and then the sky's the limit in a lot of ways as technology progresses and we put more work into, continue to refine how we do the automated edit requests.
Do you see Miruni being offered to the end user at any point, the single developer just working on their site?
So, yes, is the short answer. The interesting kind of dialogue happening around that right now is we have a very human in the loop process. So if I'm building a website for you, I'm the agency, you submit directly on the website the things that you want changed, whether you're launching a new product or you're launching a new CrossFit class or whatever it is, highlight the relevant section, describe what you want in English, and I get it. The edit request's prepared for me as a web admin to review it, see a generated preview and click apply and be done, so that I have control as a web admin. Right now, I know things perhaps that the AI agent may not know about the strategy and where I'm trying to take the site and decisions I made from an implementation perspective. While the agent is really good at understanding a lot of that context, we don't always get it right. So a human in the loop is a great way of just making sure, one, the agency feels confident that the change that they're making on the website is going to meet the need of the customer. It wasn't just an AI agent making decisions on your behalf, because it's a valuable client relationship. However, in the future, as we build confidence, as the web admin allows the agent to make autonomous decisions for them, we want to allow you, the client in this example, to, especially for the higher confidence requests, just make the request. We generate sort of the specific targeted change in the WordPress system that we think should be made to accomplish that request. You as a client can look at the preview and say, yeah, that looks great. And sort of remove the second human from the loop, I guess, in that process, and give the power to you more directly. A lot of agencies do spend some time onboarding and having clients directly into WordPress. But I think what we're pointing to is the fact that, one, there's risk in that, right? A lot of risk. And there's onboarding and maintenance to keep those folks up to date in terms of how things evolve and change. We, in that world, can just remove that complexity. You don't have to do the onboarding with customers. They don't have to learn a new system. They just need to describe what they want. And that will, turn into a request that they get right away, basically, in that world.
Amazing. Well, Zach, thanks for taking the time to chat. Do you want to share maybe where people can find Miruni?
Yeah, you can find us at Miruni.io, Miruni.io. Always a question around how we spell that. And I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, and I'm happy to chat, give you a demo, explore kind of how to solve some unique problems in your agency or business, and help in any way that we can.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and hope to see you all next year at PressConf 2026.